Okay, bishop to e6. Yeah. Oh, hi. I'm Tim Jones, and welcome to View from the Bleachers. Did you know that chess was invented in India in the 6th century? It's true. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret that almost nobody knows, not even the great grandmasters of the game. The game was recently improved upon by yours truly. That's right. The enhanced version of this game, what I like to call the secret rules of chess, were invented by me in the year 2002. And if you'd like to learn more about these very secret rules, come closer to your monitor or your cell phone, and I will tell you everything you need to know. More on the other side. Welcome back. As a parent, I have long tried to be a role model for my 2 daughters. I have always striven to teach them fundamental values like integrity, honesty, and good sportsmanship. Except when it came to chess. Then all bets were off. These are my little girls, Emily and Rachel, when they were very young. When they reached 7 and 8 years old, respectively, I taught them the ancient game of chess, something for which they have never forgiven me. Initially, their skills were very rudimentary at best, but after a couple years of patient mentoring, they were able to name most of the chess pieces on a multiple-choice quiz. Eventually, their games improved to the point that, over their vehement protests, I might add, I enrolled them in a chess tournament at a local elementary school. Now, upon arrival, I noticed that most of the kids and their parents had something in common. Almost none of them looked like me. And that's because of the roughly 300 kids in this competition, 95% of them were either Chinese or Korean or Indian or Pakistani or some other Asian demographic. And I'd heard about tiger moms, but I've never seen so many in one room. The intensity in their eyes was daunting. And well, as for the remaining 5% of the other kids, those with Caucasian parents like me, well, they didn't stand a chance. See, my girls were actually born in China, so on paper at least, they fit the demographics of a possible future chess champion. But when you factor in that I was their teacher, well, they had about as much chance of winning this competition as I had of becoming chosen as the next pope. The tournament went on forever, beginning at 8 a.m. on Saturday and ending sometime after I lost consciousness from total boredom. Every child played 5 rounds that day. After one match was over, which in my kids' cases was usually about 8 or 9 minutes, the contestants were sent back to the cafeteria. Now, in these very, very long breaks, the parents ensured that their prodigies devoted every single minute to sharpening their skills, practicing feverishly until the next round arrived. I gotta tell you, I was so bored after a couple hours, I broke down and I challenged some of these youngsters to a game of chess. Now, I don't want to brag, but there was this one 3rd grader, Jason Kim, who needed 17 moves before he checkmated me. That was my best performance. Most of my games were over shortly after I located my horse. So what's this got to do with the secret rules of chess, you might be asking? I'm getting there. Just be patient. No doubt about it, these prepubescent grandmasters were extremely sharp. After a string of 5 embarrassingly quick defeats, well, I knew it was time to shake things up just a little bit. So I decided to give these miniature Bobby Fishers a lesson by employing my own secret rules of chess. Now, my next opponent was a 9-year-old named Raza. After a conservative opening, Raza boldly advanced his bishop into an attack position against my exposed queen. Well, I contemplated my options. And then, in a maneuver that I'm fairly certain that Raza did not see coming, I nudged my queen backwards off the board and I brought her back onto Raza's end of the board, putting his king in check. Now, Raza jumped up and exclaimed, "Wait a minute, you can't do that!" To which I calmly replied, "Apparently you're not familiar with the Queen's Revolt." He was, of course, more than a little confused, in part because the chess move called the Queen's Revolt doesn't technically exist. See, that's when I began to weave a tale of how this tactic was first used by the Duke of Habsburg against the Viscount of Mordovia in 1542. Here's an actual photograph from this famous chess match that I just made up. Oh, that's the Duke of Habsburg on the left. In game after game, I continued to keep my young foes completely off balance, with one surprising move after another, like these innovative ones that I came up with. The bad bishop's deceit. In this move, my bishop gets to move diagonally in two directions on the same turn, and he can leap over pawns. Then there's the peasant's uprising. Now, this can only be done one time per game and only by the black pieces because I was playing black. Now, I can select one pawn to become queen for 4 consecutive moves. Then there's this one that I particularly like, the king's alphabet. Seen here, one of my favorite chess moves. In this brilliant move, my knight can do the usual L-shaped trot, followed by a W shape and even a Z. It's very hard to defend against. Then there's storming the castle, one of my favorites. I shove both my rooks in unison the entire length of the board, thereby taking out both of my adversary's rooks and any other playing piece in their path. Now, I have to warn you, this is a particularly powerful stratagem, but one which should only be attempted if your opponent is very young and extremely gullible. Of course, with each secret rule of chess that I made up, I explained in great detail its fake historical origins, dropping the names of plausible-sounding kings and earls and baronesses from obscure places that I was pretty sure these kids had never heard of because I made them up. Places like Luxenstan, Kafkaniksburg, and Bellamania. Well, I quickly garnered a string of 5 straight victories, and my opponents had no clue how to defeat me. I even trounced the enormously talented 7-year-old Kevin Wang. Now, in all fairness, he almost certainly would have defeated me in 7 moves had I not cleverly resorted to the masterful King Arthur's evasion, seen being performed for the first time in this image. Yes, that's King Arthur on the left. Honest. Now, in this move, when Kevin had me in check, I simply advanced my king the entire length of the board, jumping over several of his pieces, and I took out his rook. Well, yeah, Kevin protested until I patiently explained that this stratagem was first used by King Arthur himself to defeat Napoleon when they met for the World Chess Championship in Reykjavik, Iceland, at the height of the Spanish-American War. Now, unfortunately, things took an unexpected turn when, in the tournament's championship round, 10-year-old Rajav Patel employed a daring gambit that he had just learned from me, the ingenious Sultan's escape, seen here in this random photo that I just grabbed off the internet that has actually nothing to do with this move. Now, Raja boldly took his king off the board for one turn to avoid being checkmated, and then he returned it safely to a different part of the board. Well, unfortunately, he was immediately expelled from the tournament. Apparently, tournament officials weren't familiar with this move, which, as I told Rajav, was first done by a Mughal sheikh in the 15th century during the Irish potato famine. Well, several parents, who, if you ask me, were wired just a little too tightly, filed a petition to have me permanently banned from any future chess tournaments. I guess some people just have no appreciation for the finer nuances of this ancient game. Well, that's the view from the bleachers. I'm Tim Jones. For more videos like this, please click on the subscribe button below. And for more of my humor, you can also check out my website, viewfromthebleachers.net. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye now. Yes.